Hi everyone, it's Ayush here and welcome back to another video. And in today's video, we are going to take a look after a Mongoose library Node.js that we basically use to save our data into the MongoDB database. So without wasting any time, let us dive into the video. Now there are some basic requirements for this project. The first is you must have MongoDB installed on your system. Second is you must install the MongoDB extension in your VS Code to make your work even more easier. So when you install and open this MongoDB extension, you will see such a kind of interface containing some kind of servers like admin, config, local. So these are three inbuilt ones. And what you may ask, what is that test and to do? So basically to do, I just recently created, and this test is, let's say in case you don't provide the server name in your application, then it might store your data inside this test, right? So that is the use of test server. Now let's start with the coding part. So let's say npm init -y to create the package log package.json file, and after that let's install the mongoose with which we are going to work. So this is going to install the mongoose. Now let's go inside the package.json, and in the script section let's add one section here, start section, and this start section is going to run the node mon index.js. Now let's create the index.js file here, and let's say here console.log hello world. We want to simply check is it running or not. So the moment I write here npm run start, it's going to execute the command node mon index.js. As you all can see, it's running hello world program now. Now let's start with the Mongoose application. You need to simply import the Mongoose from the Mongoose library. Now it's giving an issue that cannot use import statement outside a module. So for resolving that issue, what you need to do, go inside the package.json and just add one script here, type, and in this let's say module. And after the moment you do this, it will not throw any kind of issue. Now let's scroll down. Now you can see that it's not throwing any kind of issue. Now, for creating a connection in Mongoose, what you need to do is you need to simply write the connect const connection is equal to Mongoose, and you need to write a await as well. Then Mongoose dot, and then you need to write here connect, and in the connect it needs a connection string. So for the connection string, you need to go to the MongoDB extension, right click on this icon, and then just select this copy connection string and then paste it here. That is it. Now in case you might get any kind of issue, then you can do one thing, that you can simply replace this localhost with 127.0.1. Now let's say in case if you're getting any kind of issue with the local host, then what you can do is you can simply replace a local host with this 127.0.1, right? After doing that, you might not get any kind of issue. Now what you need to do is go to the file, alt C to remove the horizontal bar. After that, the connection is done, right? We have just connected ourselves to the MongoDB server. Now let's take a look after that how we are going to save the data inside the server. So for doing that, let's go to the directory and let's create one folder, models. Now let me just tell you what is models and schema in MongoDB, or you can say in Mongoose. We are going to create a user.js, and now let's take a very basic example, that you are creating a form in which the user basically fills his details, but the form is going to take some kind of parameters like the name of the user, the age of the user, and let's say any other kind of details, right? Let's take the name and age as a basic parameters. So in that case, what happens that you must want that the name should be a kind of string, right? Because name is always a string, it can't be a number, and the age cannot be a string, so it must be a number, right? So that are the basic requirements for these parameters. So in that case, there is a need of a schema, a basic definition for all the parameters. So for that purpose, in Mongoose we are having a mongoose.schema function that is used to create definitions for different parameters. So let's see how we are going to do that. First we need to simply simply import the mongoose, and after that now we can just create any kind of schema. So let's say const user schema is equal to mongoose dot now here you need to write a new mongoose dot schema, because it's a kind of class, right? Schema is a kind of class, and there you can see it's asking for definitions. So you need to write here in the form of an object. You need to pass your name to be a kind of string, age go to be a kind of number, and that is it. And yeah, we can say like let's say eligibility, right? Let's make one eligibility or any other thing. Let's take a boolean. Now this boolean, or you can say condition, to be a kind of boolean. It can be any condition as per your choice. So you can have a name as a parameter whose definition is string, age should be a number, and condition as a boolean. Now, what is the use of this schema? Let's say in case anybody enters a name as a number, then what will happen? It will throw an error that you can't give it a kind of number because the definition is taken as a string. The age can never be a string. Its definition is saying it should be a number only. Now, it can be used in form validations, right? So that's the basic use of user schema. Now, after creating a schema, it is converted into a model for use. So how to convert it into a model? So let's say const user model is equal to, now you have to write here mongoose dot model function. Now this model function simply takes first the name of the model. So let's pass here the user as a basic name, and the second is the schema. So we have just created the user schema. So we are going to pass it that. Now it's going to simply create a model. Let's do alt C here. Now the user model is also created, but we are not end up at this it's not ending up at this place. We need to export this user model so that we can use it in the index.js file, the main file. So you need to write here export before the const keyword, and it's going to simply export this user model from this file user.js. Now to import it, you need to go to the index.js file and simply write here import user model, and it will simply auto complete. But there is an issue that many of you may face, like it's saying did you mean import model slash user.js. Like when VS Code auto completes, it used to not give any kind of .js extension in your file name, so you need to do that manually only. So when you do that, you will see that there is no issue. Now if I just save it, you can see it, there is no issue. Now we have imported the user model, but to save it, you need to write here something like const user details. Let's say user details is equal to new, because the user model, like whenever you just create any kind of model by using the mongoose.model function, then it returns a class. So let's say user model to be a kind of class. Now this user model is a class that is having a document. So the first step was creating the definition. Second is to convert the definition into a model. And the third is using a kind of document inside that model. Like now we can just give any kind of data. Let's say name of the user to be Ayush. And let's say the age to be 13. And at last we are having kind of boolean, right? So let's say condition to be kind of, let's say true. So these are the user details, right? As you all can see, here's the user details. As per the definitions, I've given the name as a string, age as a number, condition as a boolean. Now, after providing the specific user details, the final step is to save the details to in the MongoDB database. So for that, you need to write here user details dot save. Now, this save function returns a promise. So you can just write here dot then. You can just write here now basically whenever you apply the dot then function onto a promise, then it is having a callback function, and whatever you write inside this callback function will be executed when the promise will be executed. Right after the promise is executed, it's going to execute whatever is written inside the then callback. So let's write here console.log done to check is the process done or not. So it's saying done, but there is one thing missing, and that is in the connection string. Basically, I've just discussed in the starting of this video that whenever there is a server, then it is having three inbuilts, one test, and one, or you can say one, more than one user made servers, right? So let's create a new server only. Why to have the data inside the test only? We can just create our own server. So let's say here my server, something like this. Let's save this. Now you might be thinking that where is my server? So you need to simply right click here, click on refresh. Now you can see here's your server, like with the name of my server or whatever name it is. Now when you click on this server, you can see here's a document user, and not the document. It's basically a kind of collection. It's a model. A user is a model. Now inside this you can see that we're having a one document that we have just created, and here you go. Here is our data, right? Here is the unique ID, and there is the dash dash v equal to 0. Now basically every document in MongoDB is having one specific and unique ID that you can see at this place. Now let's see if I just reload this project. If I just save the index.js file again, it's going to auto reload the project. Let's save this. Now what will happen is, if I just refresh the server again, in the my server, in the user, in the document, now there are two documents. The first one that we have just seen right now, and one more one, the second one. And you can notice that both of the servers are having different names, not the different names, the different IDs, and the data might be the same or might be different as well. So you can see here's the data. So this is the entire process of how you create definition, how you create model, how you apply any kind of data inside that model, how you save the data into the MongoDB database. We have learned about how to create connections so that we can connect ourselves to the server. So yeah, that's all for today's video. Meet you in the next video. Till then, see you.